stars now, a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Every thought becomes so clear. Fancy tunes and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversation.
Okay. Good morning, guys. I got to tell you, I was jamming. I had my own phone up. I kind of wanted to make sure I was live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn and I have been having some issues. StreamYard, LinkedIn, get it together, right? If you're having issues right now, go head over to YouTube. If you're not, still go head over to YouTube. Go ring that bell in case, right? Plenty of times integrations don't work. I've learned this throughout the course of my entire career. Don't always depend on one thing. Have a backup. So, good morning, guys. Like, I gotta tell you, I dance to that music. If I'm not ready for the show, by the time that's done playing, I'm ready for the show. Can you agree with me? Do you feel it? Do you give the same vibes? Because I feel a little odd. I go to check the mail, just walking down this, the sidewalk, checking the mail, and I hear the song play, and I kind of just walk to the beat, and it's catchy that way for me. I don't know if it is for you, but here we are. It is Saturday morning, April 5th. I got to tell you, this is the longest for 3 months of my life. This quarter has felt like an astronomical change of events that has just been ongoing. And I've seen a lot happening online. And I got to be honest, part of the reason we're doing this show today is because of life on the internet, and what we're seeing every day. Good, bad, and ugly, right? We cover it all here. And I just want to be honest, it's not going to be an easy conversation. It never is when we get a bunch of people on the internet and give them the freedom to voice their opinion, right? But I think it's a beautiful concept that I want to protect with everything I have. I just wanted to maybe share some of the insights as somebody who has lived and breathed compliance my entire last decade of a career and beyond, to be honest with you. It's just important to remember we have some like best practices to follow. We have intentions for being on the internet, right? Some of us want to connect with our family. Some of us want to connect with business associates. Some of us want to grow businesses. Some of us want to do whatever, I don't know, insert here, share cooking videos, right? The who, what, where, when, why, and how is determined by you. What do you want to do when you're here? If you know what your purpose on the internet is, and I know a lot of my friends do, tell me what it is. Why do you show up on the internet? Why do you show up on a Saturday morning this early when you could be anywhere? You could be sleeping. You could be watching your favorite television show on Netflix. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is not suggestion to make you leave. But I'm just wondering, like, what are you doing? Do you know, right? We talk about intentional movement a lot on the internet, especially over on LinkedIn land. A lot of my friends, coaches, consultants, it's important to know your why, right? We talk about it. We've seen the Ikigai. We've seen the circles, the Venn diagrams, the different assessments and tools to figure out who you are and what you want to be when you grow up. And there's a million ways to say it, play it, do it, but you figure it out for you. Let me slow down. I'm hyped up. Can you tell this is an exciting topic for me? Because I have been living on the internet since it was born. I am older than Google. For those of you who don't know what that means, I was born in the 1900s, which was a term I was not slapped with. And I mean slapped. It took my breath away until I worked with younger humans, right? And I just kind of giggled to myself, but I really started to think about the evolution of social media. Where did it start? How did it start? What do I remember? And so I'm going to just kind of run through it real quick. But before I go too far into the topic, because I'm excited, let me do an intro. I am Melissa Houston. I'm the cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. You know what that means? It means a whole lot of, I just want to help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up, figure out a plan to get there. I think documentation and action is the way to go. I always do. Really, really, really write it down and act on it, right? From the shopping list to the business plan. It all comes down to making sure you know what you need to get done and making sure you get it done. It's very simple in theory. Some of us lose our Post-it notes. Some of us forget to write it down. Some of us have so much coming at once that we don't even know where to find a pen, right? We've been looking for the pen that's been behind our ear for an hour. And so it seems simple, but if you need help, I'm your girl. I love to strategize that stuff. You can check me out at documentandact.com, learn more about me. Testimonials are on my LinkedIn page. They are also on the website. I have a couple of, books that I've been participating in. I have a really cool collection of friends that I do some really cool stuff with. We wrote about our experience in a people first professional networking platform on social media. So this is not a new topic for many of us, right? We have been here, we've written about it, and we've become international bestsellers doing so. The next book is A Message to My Family. I am here and you are my legacy. Back to that intentionality. What am I doing? I'm here to leave a ripple. I'm here to leave a ripple with people who want to make an impact. Good stuff, right? Get in good trouble, so to speak. I am one of those people who have never been good at listening. I digress, right? A little bit. I love compliance, but just like my friend Felipe Cofino, who is in HR stuff too, we have to learn to find the gray. We have to learn to figure out where the rules can be broken, push them a little bit and see what happens if. Because by beta testing the boundaries and the borders and the edges, we find what's sharp and what's dangerous and what's not. And so when I go back to the beginning of social media, I remember MySpace. The most dangerous thing about that was, do your colors clash? Right? Did you pick the right song for your page? Maybe you connected with strangers, right? Strangers on the internet. It was a weird topic, it wasn't really coming up for me. Do you guys remember? I could be forgetting, but if you were on MySpace, yes, Michelle, that was my first step, right? MySpace. What was what was your fear of being there? Was there anything? Maybe an old high school friend saying you've gained a few pounds, maybe the receding hairline, maybe you weren't the most successful guy. Like we've seen the stereotypical high school reunion issues, right? But what were the dangers back then for you? I remember vividly being on MySpace and just loving to create. It was so cool. It was a coloring book on the internet. And I could play music in my coloring book. Oh my gosh, it was the best. And then top 8 friends, come on, who didn't want to be in my top 8, right? And I wanted to be in theirs. Let's be serious. And I think that reality for me, I think, is the most dangerous part of social media, both good and bad, right? It's dangerously good and it's dangerously bad. When I look at the ripple of MySpace, the connecting, the always on kind of approach to the world, right? I remember before the internet, we went to bed when the white noise started. You guys remember that? I did. I didn't have cable. We were not as wealthy as some of our other people, right? Other people in the world. And so I had regular television, and at 10 p.m., I think was the cutoff. Maybe it was midnight for some channels, depends on the day. But it started on MySpace and it just kind of grew, right? The more the technology grew, the more the conversation traveled. And that always on, you could go to sleep and somebody could have exploded your universe overnight. The first time we've seen the internet explode, I don't remember, right? But can you tell me, do you remember the first headline you watched just blow up on your AOL or your MSN or whatever it was back then, right? Yahoo was big. What else was there? I don't remember. But I know people were just all the time starting to pay attention. They were worried about getting back to the internet. And I think that was the dangerous part. Now, you know, great power, great responsibility, all that jazz. We've talked about it. Stanley, thank you so much for that reminder. I think it comes back to like, what are we going to do with it now? We're talking about AI in a lot of ways, right? I don't want to. I keep joking. I told Felipe, I just don't love the AI chat. Why? Because I know it's coming and eventually it will take over so many things. I don't necessarily want to expedite it. I will also tell you I used AI to create the promo for the show, and I used it in Canva, right? I used it to edit for grammar and spelling. I've been using the internet forever. I've been teaching these algorithms all about my shopping habits for decades. And so we have to be careful, right? Even your shopping patterns can change the way your internet behaves. That's a thing to contemplate, right? How much is too much? And then you get back into the social side of social media, the likes, the comments, the fun, and your circles get pretty big. The overlaps, the different platforms, the always on all the platforms, and trying to keep up. How many of you have woken up to a post where you're like, oh my gosh, oh no. Maybe it was your mom tagging you in the worst photo ever, your husband tagging you in that cute little picture of you at Christmas, and it was like the worst photo. You were bending over, picking up the wrapping paper, and you're like, what the heck, dude? That was a behind the scenes shot. Well, it was, what are you thinking? Oh, well, it just looked, you and the kids, and you moved quick, but I was trying to be sneaky. Right? Didn't even try Snapchat too. Maybe it's a post from a party, bachelorette party. Nobody was supposed to take pictures. It's the day after your wedding. You wake up and your husband's like, your friends tagged you in some post. Right? What if you and your bestie have a conversation and all of a sudden you're like being played on the internet on a TikTok reel as a voice note? I used to host a ton of audio events that were private sessions, right? You just go into this room on LinkedIn, for those who don't know. I was specifically doing it on LinkedIn. It was not recorded. You go into that space, it disappears once it's done. Anybody who was in the room had access to the info, but once it was gone, right? At least from our access. LinkedIn kept it. They did some reviews, but theoretically, you were safe after it ended, unless somebody recorded it. And I covered some crazy topics, and I say crazy finger quotes, right? Some heavy stuff, though, guys. I talked about losing my mom. I had friends come on the show and talk about losing their family members. I had people come in and talk about work, relationships, being sad, depressed, suicidal. We have talked about not feeling beautiful and why we nitpick how we look, right? But the one thing that I would do is set a standard. I would give what I call best practices, and this is a term that's used a lot in compliance and HR and risk management. Okay. So I want to use that terminology going forward. It is not an end-all be-all list. I am not at all the end authority on the internet by any means. I am not even perfect at this, right? I still have my kids going, Mom, you tagged us when we were 6 in photos. We didn't get permission. And it really made me reflect. I don't know if you guys have children that are coming up in this age, but my mom never asked permission to show photos of me, right? Back in the day, my mom did what she wanted. We were hers. And I mean that with love, but it was a different mindset with parents, right? You did what they said. You respected their rules. You were to be seen and not heard. And so then when you give everybody a voice, it's really neat. But that's a lot of change to go from you're doing it my way to, hey, everybody can do it their own way. And how do we do it kindly? How do we do it with permission? If my children are like, I didn't grow up on the internet, right? How many of you, and I want you to drop an emoji, just like a wink face, right? It's going to be an interesting one, but give me a wink if you're grateful your life does not exist on the internet from your childhood. Like you're just glad they couldn't record you in action when you were younger. Because I'll be very honest, I am so grateful we did not have technology that would allow it. We had pagers, okay? We had pagers, and that was the long and short. We had learned to write on calculators in class to talk across the room. We had our own little signals, right? But that was really it. We started to have some cameras. I remember a lot of film. I remember dropping those off, and that was a little dangerous too, right? Like your pictures could go anywhere. But that really, how many of you have the pictures from back then? How many of you are worried about the pictures you took? I don't have many that I took that I wasn't very proud of, right? I might have had my tongue sticking out, fingers up, peace sign, whatever. I'm not even upset about it, but it's not exactly professional. And that's okay. But what about your worst day as a teen? What about that one time you were talking back to your mom? That one time you did that one thing, and I'm just flying through these comments, guys. I realized I'm not multitasking well, so hi, guys. And I just started to think about it. Like, what if your worst day was recorded on the internet forever? Right? If it's not documented, it didn't happen. Once it's documented, it's forever there. It's really hard to erase the internet from the internet. And I think as we go forward, we got to be mindful of who and what we're tagging, including our own children. And so when my kids came and said, hey, we're talking about this in school and our privacy, and what if one of them want to run for president one day? What if every post you've ever tagged them in is put up against them? I did background checks, right? And social media searches are something that some, especially higher level placements, have to have. They have to pass. There are mode of living background screens where we're allowed to go talk to your neighbor and ask about your Saturday nights. Is that allowed there? Is it unruly? How big is the bonfire? Is it often? How many cars are in their driveway? Are they ever rude in the way they park? Are they respectful? Right? These are weird things to ask, but guys, if we're allowed to ask them as a whole in business, we have to think like business people and protect our friends, right? So that's really where I'm at. Friends, children, partners, prospects, whatever your movement here on the internet is, I just want you to think about it. So, business or personal or both, what are you guys running right now? Why are you here? What are you doing on the internet, right? Because I kind of want to make sure that I'm giving the information that you guys want and need. And I want to jump in. I'm going to stop clicking this. I'm getting myself dizzy. Wow, you guys are amazing with your comments today. Okay, so best practices. I was trying to think through this. And really, let's just talk about the simple stuff. Build your own future. As simply as we can put it, you are responsible for your content, your brand, your engagement, your future. You do not get to dictate anybody else's, even if they're your employees. You can give rules to live by, but you don't get to tell them beyond what your rules are. How to post, right? I have people who said, hey, these cartoon things you're doing, not so, why aren't you more professional? Like, oh, because it's boring. Also, I talk about crayons and coloring and drawing and Lisa Frank and Betty White and Google. I talk about using childhood passions and excitement and elementary education concepts. And so for me, this makes sense as a brand. For my clients, when they see this little bunny slippers gal pop up, they go, oh, wait, there's a message there. Because guess what? I've taught my clients to look at my post, right? Remember, if you see my passion, I wanted to infuse your passion. Not only that, but I've seen a ripple. Anybody else notice a few more cartoon style posts on LinkedIn? Have you noticed TikTok has happened on LinkedIn with LinkedIn's permission? All of those people said, oh my gosh, LinkedIn's becoming TikTok. Hello, LinkedIn just invested in a bunch of short content. Build your own future. You don't get to dictate how others do it. Okay, I'm going to mute. I need a little bit of water, but give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm a little fired up, guys. Thank you so much for joining on this. Now, if we're building our own future, we have to get permission when we enter in somebody else's, right? If we start overlapping our story with other people, we need permission. We talked about it. Your kiddos, right? If you want to post that family photo, just ask about the tag. Are you offended that I'm telling you this as a parent to ask permission to your children to post them on the internet? I'm sorry, but I'm not changing my stance. I think we are setting them up for their future. And either we believe in this concept or we don't. Because what we post, right, what we amplify to our network gets picked up and reposted. What risk are you setting your children up for, your brand up for, right? What are your best practices on the internet? Do you even know? Because guys, it's hard to play on the internet these days. Have you noticed? It's hard to walk over the bridge, under the bridge, around the bridge, through the woods without the trolls popping. And if you don't have rules for when that happens, if you don't know how to defend yourself in the moments where the troll comes out, you're going to end up selling your soul to Rumpelstiltskin or whatever, right? I don't know. I don't remember the story. I think I'm on brand. Let me know if you remember. But Reality is you can absolutely misspeak. If you have led managers, I know Erin and I just had this conversation not long ago. And so, Erin, I want to give you credit for it being front of mind. But managers, right, we have to pause. We take that 24 hours, let me contemplate how I feel before I respond, because we are humans and we don't want to take stuff out on employees. We don't want to mess up relationships with clients. We don't want to, do any of that. So you got to pause, slow down, speed up. What are your best practices if somebody comes to your post? Because there are times where somebody will comment on a post and I'm like, what are they doing? And I just get frustrated. My first response is, ugh. And it's, the aunt or the cousin or the sibling or the friend who's always just poking a little bit, right? The one cousin who's not aligned with you on a topic, whether it's family dynamics, raising children, politics, religion, your diet, right? Maybe you're a vegetarian, they're not, vice versa, whatever it is. They always just, you post a salad and they're like, hey, it would be so much better. And they just insert meat here, right? Like post the picture. What are your rules? How do you not be that guy? I think it's not easy to always remember. I think if you get on social media at the end of the day, there's a difference in how some of these emoji responses get used, right? I think at the end of the day, if you're tired and frustrated and all of a sudden you're doom scrolling, you like that one thing about that one video, about that one couple arguing. Now you're in a thread of nothing but arguments. You just gave permission to social media to ruin the rest of your day. Permission looks different for a lot of things, right? But what are your rules of engagement? So here's some things I want to talk about. I went to AI to have this conversation there first. AI is definitely a resource. I don't love it. I'll be honest, I don't love the concept of all of it taking over, right? But we are feeding it. It is the monitor that was sitting in the library at school. It's got the data inside. And so I go to the resource and I'm like, hey, let's talk about some rules of engagement on the internet. I think it's important. These are the things I want to focus on, and I'm going to get there. I'm opening it up on my phone because I don't want to bog down my computer. It gets weird sometimes, right? But so I was thinking about some of the stuff. I'm going to just tell you. It says social media etiquette and best practices for business platforms. Think like a brand, even if you're a person. Whether you're a solopreneur or a global company, your content represents your values. Keep tone, visuals, and voice consistent. Avoid controversial or off-brand content unless it's core to your message. I gotta be honest, guys, controversy is a little bit of my brand in some way, right? It's the chaos aspect. It's something that has always been with me where we just go a little squirrelish sometimes in the conversation. It's that ADHD special sauce, right? But if we know that we're getting off topic, maybe we stop doing that around somebody else's brand, right? Okay. Tagging, permission first, always. Never tag someone just for reach. It feels spammy and inauthentic. Only tag people who are involved in the content, collab, event, quote, etc., have already agreed to be included, have been directly mentioned or contributed. When in doubt, ask first in DM or email. Bonus, tagging with permission strengthens relationships and increases likelihood of resharing. Now, let's go back for just 2 seconds, guys. I love this. I love this because I want engagement. I want my friends to tag me. I do. How, where, why matters. I want you to tag me if you see bubbles. I want you to tag me if you see glitter or Venn diagrams or something really neat about tech that we should be teaching all of our friends. But I want to be mindful about where the original conversation takes place, right? If I invite you to my home and you and I sit on my couch and I tell you about my life And the next thing I see is a post on the internet that you've tagged me in the story I told you for your friends, we're going to have a problem, because I assume confidentiality with my friends. I assume, and I do speak this to rooms, right? This is not an assumption not shared. Let me be clear. I stated it in every audio event. This is a private space. This should not be recorded. This is a safe space. Nobody's going to hear it, right? And if anybody broke that rule, I would have viciously been in connection with my attorney and the party, right? Because I made a promise. I gave you permission to feel safe there, and I would fight to make sure you felt that way. Now, on the other side of it, how do we protect people when they give us data? Do we tell them, hey, you just told me you're going to, like, imagine your best friend goes, oh my gosh, I'm going to propose to my girl. I'm so in love. I'm going to go do it. Here's the ring. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Can I take a picture of the ring? Sure. Sure, of course. Right? And then all of a sudden there's the tag, and your soon-to-be fiance knows before you wanted them to and saw the ring. Right? So what happens in one room doesn't mean it's for all rooms, is kind of the takeaway. If something happens on one platform, but not on another with the content creator, there may be a strategic reason for that. If you don't understand their strategy, then you maybe should pause, because you aren't their brand boss. You are building your future, right? You're building your own. And so here's some things. Some people on LinkedIn have lots of connections. I have 15,000. Some of my friends have even more. But on Facebook, I do not have that many. As a matter of fact, I do not even accept all of my LinkedIn friends over on that platform as connections. Same as LinkedIn, you can have connections and followers. The Facebook rules are comparable. But on Facebook, I engage a little different. I have more family posts. I have more personal content. I have more political content. I engage differently. Does not mean I want to take it everywhere. Does it mean you can go find it? Sure. There are posts set to different levels, right? And I have to be aware of the post levels and which are open and not. That's my own future to build. But if you screenshot something that is set to not be public, you are removing their protections, their permissions they've set. You're taking away their right. And it's kind of a weird thing, right? Because I'm seeing now Facebook just announced they're going to start letting you know if somebody screenshots your message in Messenger, which is great, I think, right? I don't mind screenshots, but accountability, documentation is never something that I'm mad at. So think about this. Whose permission do you have? Are you hurdling over permissions they've already established? They have the right to set their boundaries. If you do so, to what extent, right? There may be a reason Betty doesn't have her birthday publicized on the internet. It could be she has a high level clearance role, and any of those kind of personal identifiers are a higher risk for her because they are constantly being sought out or trying to be hacked to get their permissions from work or whatever they have, right? There's different things. And so you got to really be mindful. I see a question popping up, and I'm going to go through the comments here in a second. But what about people who think it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission? What's your thoughts about that mindset? I think it sounds a lot like some really bad criminal charges that I've had to see on background checks. I run it through a morality filter after a decade in criminal background screens that if this were an act on a human body, what would it look like? And Felipe, with this, it would be a felony, right? What about somebody's business that loses $100 million because of your post that wasn't even accurate? Can you offset the difference? Right? You have to figure out your rules, your best practices. This is the thing, right? I have always said if you're rich enough, it's an access fee. If you can pay the attorney to fight it in court, it's an access fee. So there are people who don't need to worry about permission, but permission is so important if you want respect, I think. I don't respect many people who don't get permission first. Now, I'm seeing Nicole, she has Jackie, yes, agreed. Permission is important, but it does change as we go. Even I have considered that I have my name company behind 62 co-authors, and they are all representing my brand the way I would. Exactly right. This was the biggest fear of mine for collaborating, right? If something goes bad, how do we recover, right? And how people act is up to them. It's their decision. But how do you filter that for yourself? Because that's a pretty aggressive filter I'm using. I will agree, right? But if I say, hey, I'm not okay with this conversation right now, and you continue, you're penetrating my ears without permission. I know that's an offensive word, but let's talk about it. You are still accessing parts of my body without consent. My mind, my spirit, my ears, my time, my energy, I can put a ton of different labels on it, but there's value in respecting people's boundaries, right? I think I don't want to be the person that somebody goes, well, she's great, except that would hurt my feelers, right? So I want to go back to permission. Hey, do you mind? Can I? If your friends see your excitement, very rarely do they say, no, you can't blow my bubbles. No, you're not allowed. Right? And if they say no, say, oh, okay. Can I ask why? I just want to know. I want to understand. That's okay. Have the discussion. But maybe they'll tell you, oh, I'm under government contract. I can't do that. Oh, I'm actually marketing for a company that's affiliated with the thing you're talking about. I can't do that. I've had people in my room, in my audio events, where people were upset at the brand they worked for, and their rule was, I can't talk about my employer that way. They are very strict about how we engage about them, with them online. So every time it tried to twist, I would shut it down. Right? And don't slow down, but you can adjust how you move forward, right? Just because people were friends before doesn't mean they stay friends. And you have to figure out which ones are worth keeping and which ones aren't. And if the other side of this, and this is harder, I think, for some people, and then I'm going to get back to this list here, is accepting the no, but not taking it personally. Right? Because we don't know why. And unless we're asking, you shouldn't be upset, because it could be something so far removed from you, you have no idea. It could be, listen, I support you, but I'm going to my mother-in-law's house tomorrow, and if I'm engaged in this post, we're going to blow up and it's going to ruin my marriage. Right? It could be, I didn't invite my mom to that party. Why did you post the party online? You don't know why. Guys, there are some people who deal with addiction in their family. That was something I had to deal with. I could not have my mom around me if she was not sober. I was not functional in a mental health way when I was younger at all. For those who don't know, I had to live with my abuser after a conviction. My mom struggled with mental health and drug abuse, and I love her, and she was sober when she passed. But there were times where I did things and I did not tell her we were going to go do the thing, because I just needed the day to myself with my kids. Right? I didn't want to have my mom come and do the things that she does around my family, and so I had to just take a family day. My reasons don't have to be explained to all of you to tell you, hey, don't tag me in the post without permission, right? And if your friends have to live up to that requirement, ask yourself why you're making your friends live up to that and why you feel the need to put their family on your Facebook or whatever it is. But at the same time, when we're in such a big world, right, we can only control so much. And so I talk about this from a big overhead view, because if I went and addressed everybody who ever made me go, oh, I wish I wasn't tagged on that post, I would have no time for anything else. True story, right? We're busy people. Nick, I'm giving you permission right now to blow the bubbles and borrow the green grant. You can do that. Bring your own dang Skittles. I'm not sharing. It's not happening. I can't wait to have a bubble party, guys. When we do a get-together gathering event, trust me, I'm doing a bubble party. That's going to happen. I'm building my own future, okay? But I just wonder, like, I know this is a lot. I've been talking for 40 minutes now. What's coming up for you? Do you have questions? Do you want me to tackle this with you? Do you want to come on stage? I'm not watching my LinkedIn. I'm going to go check the comments now. If you want to message me, I will be in my DMs and I'll see you. But do you have questions? How do you set your best practices? Do you have a rule? Do you have a list? Do you have some ideas of, hey, you know, I'm only going to be on this platform for this purpose? I know there are people that only use social media so mom can see the grandkids, right? And they set it to ultra personal, only mom can see it, and then whoever owns Facebook and their workers. And it's just to keep mom happy because they're from all over the world. There are others who go there and the wife likes to do the recipes and the walks in the park with the puppy and whatever. For me, that's a little scary too, guys. I bring it up only to say, if you're posting about your animal, you could be giving away your banking hints, right? If you use your pet's name as a password reset concept, don't do that and post Fido on the internet, right? Same thing goes with mother's maiden name. Facebook lets you tag your mom. I could very quickly scare you with how much information I could tell you about yourself. And I don't mean to sound scary, but I want to be, I want to grab your attention, right? I want to be captivating in that way where I want you to be mindful of how much you put out on the internet for people to find. Something as simple as, you know, having a P.O. box versus your address on a lot of places. There are places out there that buy your data and publish it for fun. For $19.95, you can go get it. These companies were sued because they were providing quote unquote background screens without permission of consumers like you. Your data was being released without your written consent. And I watched this unfold in the background screening industry. It's why I'm very aware of personal identifiers and how identity theft works. I've seen it. But it's stuff that we don't talk about enough, right? And so that could be it too. Maybe their puppy doesn't look like a post that's that big. Like, it's just your dog. But what if only their friends who have been to their home, who already know Fido's name, are in on the secret, got to see the post? You don't, I mean, even the car. Hey, this is my first car. It's a 57 Chevy, whatever, right? That's one of the questions for credit, right? Pick which one of these vehicles you've owned. And depending on your photos on the internet, your Instagram of your garage collection, when you're buffing them out on a Saturday, just doing something motivational, do you know I can take that photo of your garage and crop the cars down, use Google image, reverse search to find out what car each of them is, year, model, make? It's not hard to start guessing from there. It doesn't take me long. It's very, very scary, right? And so it's not just about your friends. It's about yourself. Are you protecting you on the internet? It's not just being the strangers, right? It's like, once you post it, where does it go? Do you have control over it? You've released it. It's like a baseball. You have no idea. Once you swing that golf club, hit the ball, You're hoping it goes to the hole, but how many of us have seen it go way the other way? So think about risk assessment as you're growing also. I think you need to consider having a brand manager or a social media assistant, somebody who can help you monitor those comments. If you tag a brand on the internet, you've just activated their social media team. I don't know if you realize this. Disney, for example, has a whole team that as soon as Disney's mentioned, they're going to go figure out why. Okay, so we've covered that. Let's get back into the AI stuff, right? So we do permission first always. Avoid drive-by engagement. And guys, I'm a little guilty on this. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a busy girl. I'm fun. I don't have social media managers. I am she. That is me. I help others with theirs as well. But avoid drive-by engagement. Don't just drop a comment and say, great post. Leave thoughtful, relevant comments that add value or perspective. Show genuine interest and build real visibility. Okay. We also have be a genuine and generous. I can't talk right now. Be a genuine and generous collaborator. That's the worst sentence. Come on, AI. Share others' work with credit. I have to tell you, there was a guy on the internet. He's still on my LinkedIn. I can't block him, which is a whole nother content topic. But this guy, his name starts with an M. He took a post I did and copy pasted it and just posted it as his own. Not a repost, just copy paste. And I called him out on it, and he liked my comment and left the post up. I reported it and nothing was done. It was kind of weird. So guys, you gotta be careful, but also be the change you want to see, right? We've heard that how many times? Give people credit. If you know it's somebody else's quote, just say so. Just do it. I said, Nike says, right? I still use it. They love it when I comment. It activates their social media team. Sometimes they like the post. Sometimes they repurpose the content, but you're giving them permission to do so if you tag them. All right. Use collaborative features. LinkedIn collab post, Instagram add collaborator when it's mutually agreed upon, right? Felipe and I, for example, I'm going to pop this up here so you guys can see. I do have it ready. Tomorrow, we have a show. We're doing a show, The Careers, Chaos, and Coaching, the real, raw, and relevant answers you deserve. We're doing Laid Off Now What, right? Bounce back smarter with the right tools by your side. He had permission to tag me. He had permission to use my image. He is the one who created this layout and the content, and he always does so great with this, right? With my permission, I am tagged here. With his permission, I tell you guys, we hang out and do this. It's not hard. And actually, it becomes a lot of fun when you get to share your friends like that. Oh, hey, look, I'm in the corner there. Woohoo, I'm so tiny. Okay, we're going to fix this. All right, guys, let's talk about watch the salesy vibes. Gosh, this one. How many of you have been on a platform, any platform, pick your platform, and you just see the post and you know it. It's 6,000 people tagged. Not one of them commented. Nobody's supporting the post in the likes, right? And you just know it just nobody wants it. We're all running. It's like the plague. You see them sneezing on you. That's what it feels like for me. Is that what it feels like for you guys when you see the people who just tag 10,000 and nobody's interested? Nobody had permission to be tagged. You just see the names start getting dark because people are untagging themselves. Think about that. All right, so watch that. Also watch, I know people tell you go and DM right away when you connect. I I think it's great to stay on top of it, but if you DM me with, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Melissa Ann. Did you know that I help solopreneurs like you? No, I don't think you do. I didn't know that about you. You knew I didn't know that. So that was a weird question to ask. Right? I got a little static in my ear. Hold on, guys. Do you hear that? It's driving me nuts. All right. Build the relationships first. That's a lot of what this coffee chat's premise was. In the audio events, we were getting to know each other, right? Some of the fun stuff, and we're getting back to that. I'm going to start having guests back on the stage. We're going to get into some of this real-time commentary, but education matters. And I had been asked to do the first show of every month as a solo show, and then I kind of dug it, and I thought we should do it for a while. And I was practicing on StreamYard before I wanted to bring other brands on. And I feel more confident. Like Felipe said, look at me go, look at me. I'm figuring it out. But let's get into the rest of the list, right? Build those relationships, offer value before making an ask. Just go comment on some posts, go show up to some events, go read their profile and get to know what they do. I very much dislike when you come to me and tell me you can help me start an audio event or a podcast, or have I considered writing a book to help grow my brand? I don't know, buddy. Have I considered writing a book to grow my brand? You tell me. Have I come together to already put my words into action? Maybe. You should check out my profile and see. And I don't mean to sound condescending, guys, but come on. How busy are we in a day that we're going to just keep going back and forth and going, hey, we're on social. There's no rules here. I'm just going to make you repeat yourself 57 times a day. I mean, really run that question through and write this one down, right? When I was doing marketing and sales training and outreach for any team I've ever run, I would tell them, run it through the filter of what would you do if somebody said it to you? Right? If the first thing somebody does when I meet them is just tell me all the things they can sell me, I'm like, oh, no. Right? No. So run it through your own filter. I don't know what your rules are, right? I don't. Social media is for us to figure out the who, what, where, when, whys, and hows we're here, how we're going to engage, where we're going to act, what we're going to do, why we do it all. Because some of us are playing for fun and it's cool to just go like, you know, I think of the Joe Rogan kind of podcast where he can say what he wants and he can kind of do it because he's built a brand over a long time and he has the money to kind of overcome whatever ripples he creates, right? Cool. And there's others out there doing the same. Howard Stern is another one. He can kind of do a lot of chaotic shows, right? He could get away with blasting his message out here and people ate it up. I'm not necessarily wanting to play that gamble. I don't know where I'm going next, right? Some of the people I want to work with are tied to government contracts. Some of the organizations I want to work with are dealing with some really hard stuff, right? The Emotional Women is one of those things where we're going to get into some stuff that we don't even know yet. Who's going to hire us? Do we know? And how far do we take it? Of course, we're going to hold our beliefs to our own and keep it there, but we're here to talk about some high emotion stuff. So we're going to be in some pretty heavy rooms, I'm certain. I mean, Jackie, are you ready to do government mediation with me? We could go sit in the big rooms, maybe. I got crayons for everybody. Mm-hmm. But guys, think about that, right? Because we just don't know where everybody's going to grow to. So how are you growing? Where are you growing? What are your rules for your engagement? And how do you protect your friends from getting that on them? If my brand is mustard or ketchup or both, right? Maybe I'm a big fan of the corn dog. Let's just say that's it. And your brand is full of white linen suits, white silk wedding dresses. I probably shouldn't haphazardly start flinging my brand all over your brand. Right? It's a simple thing, guys. But are we thinking about it? Are we setting our friends up for success with the family Thanksgiving functions or Easter events or whatever holiday is coming? right? Lots of graduations coming. How is your social media going to affect your engagement at those events? Are you thinking about your teenager who's going to have grandma and Uncle Bob and Aunt Sally and all of your friends around to celebrate their win? And what kind of vibe will be in the stands because of your social posts? This is the whole family conversation, guys. This is something I wish I could take back to everybody, right? Not just in business, not just in personal action for income or professional stuff or even your YouTube growth, whatever it is you're doing here. But what if you could just make it easier for your kids at the next family function not to be in the middle of whatever mess we're doing? Right? And so think who, what, where, when, why. All right. That said, clean up your digital house. Review your profile regularly. Headshot, bio, links, and pinned content should reflect current offerings. Make sure your content matches your goals, your education, networking, hiring, etc. Use hashtags strategically, only when relevant. Keep hashtags aligned to the topic and industry. Limit 3 to 5 for LinkedIn, up to 10 to 15 for Instagram. I think the same kind of rules apply for YouTube, guys. I think 10 to 15 are kind of the max for YouTube. If you know something different on YouTube, please let me know. Branded when appropriate. Your brand name or event specifics, right? So something like the Document Then Act, making sure that you're putting that little logo up. You're getting your visuals ready. You're making sure that when they see the bubbles, the Venn diagrams popping, they see action, movement, coaching, right? When you look at Felipe and I, we've talked about that yellow circle so much, but how many of you look at that yellow circle and immediately know what's happening, right? Branding. What vibe do you get? Now, if I tagged every post I did to this brand, it would not work. Same with Jackie, right? We have a multitude of brands. We have multiple facets within each brand. We are kind of this chaotic little glitter association of sorts, but it works, but not for every post all the time, right? It just doesn't. So how do you use it? You got to figure it out for you, but these are just thought-provoking conversations, right? That's really what I'm trying to do here. Respect boundaries and privacy. Don't share client wins, testimonials, or behind-the-scenes content unless you have clear permission. Screenshot of DMs or emails, never without explicit consent. Let's say you have a pretty amazing client and they're growing exponentially on the internet, right? Week after week, you're seeing consistent growth and you know it. You know they're winning. You know they're in, top percentages and brackets and things of data you monitor. Not without permission. I don't care if it's your win too. It's still more theirs, right? We talk about birth announcements, pregnancy announcements. Who makes that determination? Is it grandma or is it the family? Have you considered it? Right? It's not just social media, guys, but it's the life we bring to the platform. It's what happens when we log out too. Do you contemplate that? Because I know there are a ton of people who go into business with the intention of providing for their family. And then in doing business successfully, they lose their family because they forgot to do the other side successfully. Would you want that to happen with social media and friendships, right? Even recommendations, guys. How many of you have connected with somebody immediately or connected with somebody and immediately they're like, hey, let's trade recommendations? I had a coach who will remain nameless kind of do this to me. And it was somebody who I had really thought had their game together, right? Was doing a great thing on the internet. I respected, and I I just got this message, and it wasn't even from the person. It was from somebody in the DMs of that human, so acting from the account inauthentically. But the headline said that this is not how that person moved, right? Everything I knew about this profile and this brand and this persona on the internet all of a sudden did not align with the messaging in the DMs. I don't trade recommendations. It's not real. It's not genuine. It's BS. And you know what? If you do it for me and then go to my 10 other friends and tell them you're doing that too, then why would they trust any of my testimonials then, like, from going forward? Right? And I have earned mine. They're not always there. Sometimes I don't even remember to ask people. I know I have changed hundreds of lives with my coaching, if not more. Businesses have had a ripple, numerous startups, right? Numerous operations have been improved because I stepped in and helped. I came in as a consultant and did some work. People are doing this like part-time consulting, and I was working on that for a long time, and it's really cool. It's growing. But I mean, I don't always even remember to ask them. I don't. So when somebody's like, hey, can we just trade it? And then I see they have 50 plus testimonials. I'm like, ew, right? And I block. Immediately, I'm just not interested because I don't want to be affiliated with people who don't earn it. I'm a big fan of the gold star chart, the one that sat in the first, second grade classroom where you got to go put a gold star up when you finished whatever it was on the checklist. Or the teacher made a big to-do of, oh, well, look, yep, Melissa got her homework turned in this week, gold star in the homework box. If I saw you grab that sticker sheet and walk over to that board and not earn it, I would have gotten in trouble for what came down next in that classroom. I would have been yelling. I would have called you out because I worked hard to earn it. The same way with those rise sheets where I got the free pizza, right? Pizza Hut hooked me up. They made me educated. They told me I should read. And I listened, and I loved free pizza, so I just kept doing it. And then I heard, and even now today, I read how people faked it. Number one, joke's on them. I can tell. I'm sorry, that was rude. I shouldn't have done that. The best practice is not to be rude, but at the same time, guys, if you're faking it, we're gonna tell in the long run, right? It's a joke. It's kind of, I could have stated it differently, but the truth is, we know. We will know. And you'll know. So, your who, what, where, when, whys. Do you have them figured out? Write this stuff down. Why are you doing it all? Where do you want to take this? What platforms are you on? Who are you talking to? Why does it matter? When is it going to be okay to do it differently, if ever? Some of you are still working for other brands while you're building your brand, right? I had been a solopreneur doing it solely on my own. After a couple of twists in life that I wasn't expecting, right? COVID happened, but then life just kept happening with my mom passing, then my major client passed away. Life happened again. We got laid off from the next organization that I had helped start, right? We didn't have it. We couldn't figure it out right at the end. It just didn't work. And that's okay. That's how it works, right at the end always. But we were so close. And I just wanted to take a break. And so my break was to go into a local community retail environment and fix what wasn't working, optimize the process. And we did. I can tell you that I placed number 16 in the nation for the last contest we had internally. I felt amazing about it. Number 16 out of 150 plus stores times however many employees per store. Not a bad place to land. I was also very impressed by the fact that my assistant was number 4. And I brag about her with her permission because I can, right? And we talk about it all the time. But to be able to say 2 of us from one store were in the top 20 is pretty cool, right? Top 16, but top 20. It was amazing. Now, beyond that, I'm not going to tell you more, right? It's not mine to share about any other stores or too much about my corporate that I work for, corporation that I work for now, because it's not mine. There's data that's protected. I'm allowed to celebrate wins, which that's a win, but I didn't explain all of it, right? You don't know what the contest was. You don't know all of it. You just know Melissa does what Melissa does, and she likes to be first. And if she can't be first, she's not going to be far from it. I can't stand being last, right? But that's who I am. That's my rules of engagement. I actually try to set my assistant up to win. And so if she wasn't, finger quotes, beating me, I would want to change that, right? Because one of the leadership team had made the comment of, you don't always want to be the sniper. We need people who train them too. And I was like, I love that, right? And I had always emulated that kind of concept, like let them lead, teach them by letting them do, be behind them, don't let them fall, but you're never going to teach somebody to ride a bike by riding the bike for them, right? You're just not. And so that whole concept, just, I love where we are. That was my win, is that we got to win and she beat me, right? The company wins. We all win. It's a good best practice to have. We all win. But for me, I always have to win too. Like I want to always win too. And so how do we both get there? That's the big premise of the Venn diagram. Don't do it alone, right? What kind of future do you have if you're not taking people with you? I love that hashtag reach back, pull forward. It's something that came to mind when I was thinking about when I was growing up, guys. My family struggled, right? And it's really hard when you're a low income family that's very vast and wide. You have multiple issues facing people in life, right? All people. And you just add it all into a blender and it's hard. It can be like a rat in a barrel mentality almost, where like somebody gets up there and then you just want to climb on their back a little bit because you need the help. And we think that's how to do it. And sometimes that doesn't work, right? Because a lot of the time they just pull each other back down. However, I have seen humans pull their hand out and pull somebody forward and just kind of make this train of human connection, pull people out of the worst spots ever. Places where even tools couldn't go, right? The machines couldn't get into. Humans had to be the one. And somehow, when they reached back and they pulled forward, they got it done. So pull together, right? If you have that concept in mind, that makes for an easy yes when possible, right? Whenever possible. When you hear a friend say, hey, I could use your support on this post. Is it okay? Can I send it to you? I have friends who will reach out and say, hey, can you read this post? I just need another perspective. Like, is it scary for you to engage on this, or is it cool? Because they're not sure. Maybe it's too edgy. Maybe they're not portraying it right, right? Do you have filters for yourself? Stop gaps in place to not do it in a way you didn't mean to. Because the trolls pop out from under the bridge. And I don't know about you guys, but if you startle me, I scream. Do you want to scream when the troll pops out when you're in the middle of an event? I don't want to. Sorry, I just sipped water. That was probably the worst sound ever. I really don't want to. But if I don't have procedures in place to make sure that it doesn't get to that extent, it could happen. I do have PTSD. I do have a sharp tongue. I do think quickly. And I do have very firm boundaries when not respected because I've had to have them. Now, doesn't give me permission to just like beat people up if I don't like it, right? But I am very good at saying no, thank you in a very clear, concise way. And sometimes that's not always the nicest way to do it in public. And I'm working on it, right? And so before that happens, I like to have others who can go, hey, are you good? I hear you're a little tense in your voice right now. Do you need a break? Do you want me to respond to that one? Hey, I'm going to ask this new question and let the topic change. Like, what's your favorite crayon color? And all of a sudden, we're talking about something completely different because there was somebody in the room who said, "Uh-oh, I see where Melissa didn't want to go, and there she goes. And let me tell her I see it coming." Right? It's insurance, guys. Do you have it? Do you get it for your car? Are you so perfect that you don't need auto insurance? Human insurance? You've always said the right thing the right way exactly all the time? I am so impressed, like seriously impressed, because even AI, that's supposed to be more brilliant than anything else we got going right now, doesn't get it right all the time. So just think about this, right? Think about your best practices. When we did background screens as a business, like when I went into an organization, the first thing that I would tell them is what our best practices were. And at the time, if you wanted to do a background screen, and this might not be relevant, but I want you to understand what a background screen really means, okay? Doing a background check is taking your personal information and going everywhere in the world I can find to go get it. Anywhere that I have hints of like the breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel style, I'm going to go source that. Right? Now, the first thing they will do, typically in a background screen, is an address history. They'll get your name and address history and then figure out where you've lived and then take that data and go search all of that data. Right? Then there's different layers of the court. You guys are probably hearing a lot about this right now in the news, but for people who want to understand a background check for employment specifically, this is like a standard style background check I would give for anybody who was going to get hired. Different layers occur, but this is the minimum that I would recommend as a best practice. We would do a nationwide screen that did that address and name search. We would figure out where you've lived. We would take that data and it would bring back some preliminary results of some possible records that may be tied to you. It's not stuff we could use yet. It's like a Google search kind of, right? It's that data scraping of this is every Melissa Houston we can find in the world that ties even remotely to the data you've provided. Cool. Now, to make sure it's relevant, I got to go to every website or every county, federal court, city court, district court. Like there's all these different, district, county, city. There's the municipal court, right, which is the city. They sometimes don't even report to the county. The county doesn't always report to the state, and the state doesn't always report to the federal level. So you have to go to all of these different levels to source the data. And then once you get all of the data from all of those places, you still got to make sure that they're bringing back the right data on the right human and re-verify. Pull out the Venn diagram. Is this Melissa? Do they have the same date of birth? Do they have the same maiden name? Do they have the same address? Is there a driver's license hint? Is there any other comparable data to get there, right? And so there's this whole trail you got to follow down. And you would think, hey, you're doing all of that? That sounds great. Yeah, no, it's not enough. Because once I do it all, I need somebody else to double check I didn't do it wrong. Even as somebody who is really skilled, and my team was great. We had longevity in my team. My team members knew what they were doing the whole time, right? Years together at that background screening company before my client passed. And I didn't have to question their skill set. But funny story is they were still human. And even AI is making mistakes because that data that they brought back was not perfect when they brought it. And that was AI sourced stuff. So then we put the human component in and make sure the data is not wrong, just like you guys do with AI. And then before it goes out, somebody else does the work again. So I had 2 people touching it plus the computer. 3 different filters before it ever left. On top of that, I would tell them we still maintained a 1 to 2 day turnaround time. And they're like, wow, right? So value offer. Why did I do that? Because I wanted them to get the best data. I didn't want them to think it was going to take me years to get it done, because then nobody would do it. But the other side of having that quality was that you're not going to wait to get hired. You're not going to have the wrong criminal record tied to your report when you didn't do it, right? If you've been a victim of identity theft, we're going to remove any of that, the traces of that data that we're not supposed to report before anybody else can use it against you. Kind of cool, right? Do you have comparable filters for your social? Because that will end up on a background check too. It can. Now, employers aren't supposed to Google you. They're not supposed to go to your socials and look at how you're living. They can become discriminatory by seeing things, right? We don't mean to necessarily, but there's implicit biases that are out there. There's some things that we see automatically and we don't mean to. Maybe you're wearing Skechers and I like Nikes. Maybe you have, the Phoenix Suns jersey on your profile picture and I'm a big fan of a different team, right? Whatever it is. You don't mean to do it, but you can. And so what are your best practices to eliminate those biases? How do you stay open to as many people as possible? And you know what? Don't change your jersey. That's not the recommendation. People who are not going to be your friend because you don't like the same team as them, they're probably stinky cheese people anyway. It's cool. We can drop them off. Let them stay where they are. Find friends who don't like the Suns or whatever. I don't know. Not even a big basketball fan anymore. I used to like the Knicks, though. Latrell Sprewell was one of my favorite people to watch run up and down the court before he got super angry. I don't know if you know, I was a big NBA fan for a long time. But guys, think about how you're acting, right? Because the other part of it is once you get to the top, what happens? We have seen humans dig up old posts. We have seen videotapes of relationships we should have never seen. And I didn't see them. I'll be honest, I didn't watch. I've heard they were released, right? I've heard a lot of people's private life has been taken to places it shouldn't have been. I've seen a lot of people recording life and posting it on the internet, but not stopping the chaos that they were recording. I never want to be in a video where you watch me watching it happen and I didn't stand up. Right? And so there's that other thing too. Like I want to be active, but what part do I want to play in the video? Where do I want to get it done? How do I want to get it done? What are my calls to action for something that I feel is an injustice versus yours, right? How we handle it may be different. Think about it. Some of us write letters. Some of us do shows. Bye, Nick. I missed this. I hope the puppy's good. That poor puppy's been going through it, right? But I want to have this conversation. What does it look like? Everyone's not perfect. That's so true. How many perfect people do you know, truly? Like we all strive for this perfect life. But I don't think it exists. I really don't. I don't know any perfect people. And the ones who claim to be perfect, man, they end up being people like Ted Bundy sometimes, right? He was the coolest neighbor, I heard. When you look at the people who have made some really bad decisions in history, they were like the leaders of some of the coolest operations that we give to and do by. So keeping yourself accountable, I think, is important. But I also want to say this. I said a lot of heavy stuff, lots of heavy stuff, and I know it. But I also want to remind you, it is okay to have fun here. It is. You can do your passion project. You can play with crayons on the internet. You can talk about, your favorite Sesame Street characters and get away with it and still build your brand. You have to be authentic to you. If I told you that you were going to have this super professional experience and I didn't mention the glitter, the crayons, the Venn diagrams, the elementary education style, who, what, where, when, why approach, you're going to be like, why are you asking me second grade questions here? I thought you were a different kind of coach. Okay, why would you think that, right? Like, I don't want them to think that, because I want fun and passion in every conversation we're having. I want you to plan your life based on those two concepts. And then I want to give you accountability. And so it looks different on the back end, but not completely, right? It's something you have to figure out. The other side of Melissa's coaching is sometimes I'm not coaching, I'm listening. Sometimes to coach, you have to assess. And so not every session even is an action session beyond assessment. And having the conversation of, we should watch this week, right? Maybe that's your week this week on your social media brand. When's the last time you went through your LinkedIn? Let's just use LinkedIn for now, because I know most of you are coming in from there. When's the last time you went to your LinkedIn, went up and just looked at your analytics? How many people viewed your profile? How many post impressions? How many search appearances? Do you know why you were pulled up for search appearances? I'll be honest. I know one of them specifically that looked me up. One of my top search people was my friend Felipe, and where he works shows that I was one of their top, one of the companies that were my top searchers. It makes sense, right? If you go to your post impressions, the data there, building your social media brand, the rules of engagement. Do you re-tap into the things people like? Do you just do it willy-nilly, your style? I don't know, right? When I look at mine, I see that people are really engaging in a post about layoffs. I see that it's my number one post in the last 7 days, 95 votes on it so far. Again, just on LinkedIn. The next one was this live event. It is quickly climbing, and the more comments and stuff that show up, obviously that's going to make it grow, right? So that's climbing. And then I have another post that asks, when our career is done, how many lives will we have impacted beyond our own? And guys, those are the things. Now that's 3 posts. I posted at least one a day, right? And so if I'm posting one a day and those are the top 3 posts, what I would do is assess that data. That doesn't always mean I'm going to act on it right now. It might take me a few days of pondering, what did they love about those posts? How should I, dive into these topics a bit better? That ikigai, that center space of the Venn diagram, the overlap. Guys, how do you know without assessment? And really, what's the purpose of it all? What's the intention? I got to tell you, I see some amazing people out here doing their thing, right? My friends, I don't mean to brag, but I'm gonna for a second, because they're fantastic. I have some of the coolest friends in the world. And I don't mean to brag in a way that makes me cooler, because I am cooler by knowing them. And if I'm cooler because I know them, it's only because they rubbed off, like by default, right? I don't get me wrong, I think I'm pretty cool, but they are cooler. I have friends who have been multiple time authors, co-authors, long before I ever even thought of the thing. I laughed when I was like, no, thank you. I don't want to do it. I'm not writing a book. What am I going to write about? Then all of a sudden I'm like, I want to write in a book too. What? Why is my friend in a book? I want to be in a book. What do you mean you're doing a book about my favorite platform on the planet? What do you mean you're talking about growing on social media? I want to talk about it. Right? And I spoke up. And then I watched other friends. I have friends talking about topics that nobody's talked about publicly in a way that they have. Or if they have, I've never heard it, right? It hasn't been out there on social in that way. I was just watching last night. Who watched Soul Man Live last night? Drop it in the comments. Give Aaron a tag. Aaron, are you watching? Are you sleeping? He was on fire last night. I know he is probably exhausted, but he had Lisa Fevrick on, right? And I was listening in, and he put a TENS unit on his tummy. A TENS unit, for those who don't know, it is a machine that sends electrical vibrations, shocks, as it were, to your body to get your muscles to contract and restrict and then relax. And it comes in waves, and it's usually used in physical therapy treatments. But there has been this ripple on the internet of men trying to understand menstruation by simulating cramps, the experience of being in your cycle, right? And this was occurring. He had the machine on him while he was live, while he was talking to her about menopause and women's health and all of the stuff that comes with it. Guys, intention, right? Different. It's maybe not for every brand, but was it on point and super cool and a unique way to play? Yes. The first thing I asked Aaron as his coach after the event was, are you ready to do it for 3 to 5 more days now? Ladies, if you know, you know. I don't think he's ready. I wouldn't be ready either. He says it feels like he did 3,000 sit-ups. And then I thought, man, why am I not doing this? I could be so snatched for summer if I would just shock myself all winter like he did. Ladies, I want to do it now. I want to know if we could just tone up. We're already living through the real thing. Why not just use it to tone up that tummy? And then I started giggling because as I really did think about this and research it a little bit, I realized that's exactly what they did. They had these machines that were created to make you do these fake crunches. And that's exactly how it worked. And so, hey, if you don't want to do sit-ups and you want to lay on the couch, that could be an option. I don't recommend the painful way, but I also won't necessarily admit to not wanting to try it, right? Like I might have it in the back of my brain. So I'm just going to admit it. Guys, I just saw some friends show up. Sandra, welcome. How are you? Sesame Street, find that bird. Okay, so Jay, I have to tell you, you know Felipe well. Felipe is the one who has named me Big Bird of LinkedIn. And actually, if you ask him very nicely, he might actually show just the picture, not my phone number, of me in his phone because he has us both in the photo, for what I was told. So kind of fun, right? Having the kind of friends that would store me in their phone in such a way is really cool. LinkedIn is absolutely for career purposes as well as job seeking. And I would say for entrepreneurship too. I sell all my products mostly on LinkedIn. I do sell journals and planners, and I have the books, with Nick that are on Amazon with all the co-authors. But reality is, I do a lot of my business from LinkedIn. And before, it used to be referral only. I was kind of like the Hitch. You guys remember that movie Hitch with Will Smith, where if you didn't know me, you couldn't find me. If you didn't know somebody who knew somebody, I wasn't going to be referred to you. But if you got referred in, I would take good care of you. And I lived like that for a long time. And then I fell in love with LinkedIn, popped there, and, it's been a great time. I talked about it in other shows, and even in the book, but there was a day where I logged into my bank account and I saw 5 figures from action on LinkedIn. 5 figures of income one day. Now, does that mean it all happened? The build out was one day? No, it takes time to grow to that, right? And it was consistent action to get to that point. But at some point, it does work. You do get the momentum rolling. You do get the ball going, and people see it and they want to emulate it, right? They need the help. Felipe, here I see. If I could share pictures here, I would share the big picture. Send it to me. Send it to me. But, or drop it in the comments. Just make sure my phone number's not there for safety reasons, right? Oh, Erin, I mean, a wee bit sore. Yeah. I just couldn't imagine, right? I just couldn't. So, guys, what are your takeaways? Are there any tips you would add I haven't covered, right? Because there's a lot we've talked about today. I kind of took it all over the place for sure. And I just want to know, do you have questions? Is there, something that we haven't covered you hoped I would? Do you have to set a boundary and don't know how to do it about your social media? Because honestly, this one's a little tricky too. There are times where I get tagged in a post or something, like this comes up, and I have to contemplate how I'll approach it, right? Sometimes I approach it directly. I just go and I'm like, Felipe, stop being dumb. I just pick it on Felipe because he's here and I just saw the heart, so I wanted to pick on him a bit. But vice versa, right? Like we can just come to each other. If Jackie and I have feedback for each other, we have that show together, we can do that directly. It's nice. If I'm in a collaboration group, I will go to the leader of that collaboration project and say, I have a concern. Can we have some assistance here? Because I don't want to cause chaos within somebody else's home. If I have a problem with somebody in your home, I'm coming to the host and I'm going to say, excuse me, your mother just spit all over me because of my shirt. She didn't like the Care Bear I chose to wear today. Now, listen, you can figure it out for you, but standard rule in our like best practices of our family was whoever home it was, you went to them to get it solved. Even if it was your own brother, sister, cousin at grandma's house, grandma stopped the fights. Does that make sense, guys? Does it? Like I'm pausing because I want the LinkedIn comments and then I started reading this one. Here, let me go. Sandra says, yes, LinkedIn has been an amazing platform. This morning I reposted something about this topic. There is power on putting yourself out there. Great things happen when you share things you're actually passionate about. Focus on building genuine connections. Yes. Guys, fun and passion, right? Have fun with your friends. Talk about what you're passionate about. I've never not had my friends jump up and down with me when I got excited about something. Even if they didn't even like it, they're like, yay, you, what are we jumping for, right? They're already jumping and trying to figure out why. Have you seen those TikTok events where the wife just starts singing a Disney song to see if the husband will join in, and all of a sudden they're just singing to each other and dancing in the kitchen? Right? Those are the kind of friends that I want to have. And so fun and passion, and you bring that to social and it's great. Now, fun and passion could also mean different things for different people. For a MMA fighter, fun and passion looks different on a Saturday. Sorry, I'm taking a sip of my water again. I'm going to mute this for a second, but think about that, right? What does fun and passion look like for you versus the people that are around you? Does it overlap? Are you able to work from your side of the sphere, let them work from their side of their sphere, but still kind of figure it out in the center to support each other without pulling the other one to your side or forcing the subject, right? Jay says, talk about how social media has been used to promote or market finance tips or investment promotions. I mean, let's talk about it. Anybody ever heard of the term crypto? It sounds like one of those things they taught me about in sex ed. Now, I'm sorry if that's offensive to you guys, but every time I hear it, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to catch it. Ew, right? But there's also been people who have gone viral for their crypto, and then people lost a ton of money because they dove into that practice without a best practice, without rules of engagement, without thinking about it, the ripple, the actions that they're going to do. You document first, then act. If you're just acting because they say buy now, you're not thinking about it. If you're not planning to spend for it and all of a sudden somebody talks to you, makes you want to buy something, I want you to pause and go sleep on it for 24 hours. Because if you don't think about the big things for a minute, you can make some really big decisions you don't mean to make in error. Car purchase, buying the first car you drive, not shopping different car lots, not Googling locally to see which car dealerships will take care of you if you have to buy, right? If you just stop in to see what's on the lot and never had the intention to finance something, you may ruin your budget and not even realize it, because by the time they get you excited and you're having fun, you're just signing and you're not listening to, you're not reading the bottom line stuff, right? Sandra shared something talking about boundaries and wellness. All right. Looks like Gregory got the NBA activated. Let's go. Let's go. Listen, I love a good game. I don't care what sport it is, truly. Just invite me. Let's get some food going. We'll have some good conversation. But I really love to just hang out at a sporting event and watch the people who are usually the best of that area, right? Get it done. Aaron, thank you so much, guys. He's over on YouTube. Are you following me on YouTube? Are you subscribed? Last I checked, we had 19 people subscribed to my YouTube channel. 19. Do you know how many friends I have on LinkedIn? Do you know how many aren't on YouTube yet? What if this platform shuts down tomorrow? It is their platform. They can do whatever they want. What if you can't find me? What if I decide I no longer want to be on LinkedIn? Would you know where I am? Right? Janito says, hey, I got questions for you. Okay. Where are they? Let me check my DMs over here, guys. I'm trying to multitask. What did it say? But the platform needs to do something with the bots and scams in this space. Yeah, it does impede development and growth. I agree, Gregory. And honestly, guys, that comes back to us teaching them what it looks like. Because true story, there has been a scam everywhere all the time, right? Snake oil is one of those old school traditions that I can think of, especially being in the Southwest growing up. We hear it all the time, snake oil salesman. Okay. And when Crystal, hi. When somebody doesn't sell something of value, right? And so you have to be careful. It goes back all the way, as far back as I can imagine in history. There's always been somebody trying to do something, maybe not all the way 100% on par with where they should be. But do you want to be that person? How do you avoid it? If they evolve the game to the next one, right? Identity thieves, changing of money. How many times have you seen your money in your lifetime change the way it looks? Bye, Michelle. Because of theft, fraud, people faking money, creating fake currency and trying to pass it off. And as they got really good at figuring it out, right after time, they would absolutely be able to replicate what we were using. They changed it. They'd put out a new bill, something a little bit harder to replicate. They had to level up because the fraud levels up, right? And the other thing I would add on this financial thing, most financial humans, people who do financial literacy or planning, are not allowed to engage too openly on the internet about advice. If you see people haphazardly saying you should buy this stock, you should buy that stock, run, because it's personal opinion, but I would not say that it's fact, because a lot of those finance people cannot share that kind of thought just openly without true assessment, because they're liable, right? I see Jay. Felipe has a great session today. Come on down, Melissa. Your presence would be amazing. Listen, I love his show. After mine, though, I kind of just need hydration and pause, and I like to listen in. But Social Saturday Chat is a fantastic spot, guys. There's so much knowledge shared in all of these rooms, right? That's what's cool about my friends. I said it earlier. They're not just normal friends. I have like those superhuman friends, the ones that remind me so much of, I was called Marvelous Miss Marvel or something above. I know, Jay, you made the comment. I can't go back right now. But, they remind me a lot of those people. It really does feel like we are kind of not, I hate the word superhero because I feel like it's overused everywhere these days. But, we're action takers. We are those people who don't wait for others to invite us. We just get it done. If we're not included, we're like, how do we get included? Right? We volunteer, we show up to where it's already built and say, how do we get in? How do we do this? So I don't know, guys. This is what's coming up for me. If I'm going to summarize what we've learned so far, and I do have somebody going to join me on the stage, it seems like. I just sent out the link, and you're welcome to join if you want to add to the commentary. I want to stay on topic for sure. We've had a great session so far, and I want to maintain kind of the vibe and the volume we're going. But like, how long have you been on social media? Think about it. You don't have to answer because, it might give some hints to your age and that maybe you don't want to disclose. But I have literally been here my whole life, it feels like. As long as it's been out, I've been here. There were times that I've lived where it wasn't, right? But it's been a good part of my life for a good part of my life. I remember actually, I shocked the heck out of my husband because I had a Motorola Razor, and we didn't have internet at home when it was 2008. It was one of those things that I couldn't necessarily afford. I had a new baby, formula. It was expensive. We had other babies and diapers. It was a lot. And so I turned my Motorola on and I plugged it in and I tried to use it as my Wi-Fi thing, and it worked. And my husband could not believe it. And I don't even remember what I was logging into back then because there wasn't a whole lot. But it was just really neat and cool, and I used it in a new way. And I just remember trying to push tech and seeing if I could, and I did, right? But it's come so far. To think that I'm blasting this message on how many different platforms at the same time. We're able to monetize our content now, right? We can monetize this kind of conversation, and it's just so interesting that the future is still so unknown. What is it going to look like? Are we going to be able to almost like teleport out of the screen? Can we project? Will the computers have a projection model to where it'll just look like I'm standing in front of you when you're on the couch and you have your laptop open? I can just stand there and it'll look like you're at a speaking event and I'm right in front of you, your front stage, center row, whatever it is, right? I don't know. Are we going to go back to in-person events? Are we going to have more of those kind of things to do and hang out? That could be cool, right? Social media will get us to the spot where we can plan and engage. I don't know how many times I'm in a group chat that's on social versus a cell phone text. Do you add people to those group texts without permission? I'm going to ask you right now because it's I know you heard it. I know you heard it in my voice. It was like my least favorite thing people can do to me is tag me in a post I don't want to be tagged in publicly without permission, right? Like not asking first. And then to put me in a group chat with a million people, and now I'm like, why am I in this chat? I'm not supposed to be in this chat. Recently, there was some news about people being put in a group chat without their permission, right? Guys, it's not just an us problem. This goes all the way to the top and back down again, and it will forever be a consideration. Well, we can just mass group text a million people. Sometimes we accidentally do it. I was going to share something funny to a couple of my friends in the WhatsApp channel, and I thought I could just send it to them all separately by just clicking them. And all of a sudden I was like, oh gosh, it's trying to start a group chat. I wasn't even meaning to, but as soon as because I pause, I assess before I put it out there. That's a best practice. It's when I learned a background screening. And I realized, no, I'm not doing this. Now, is it terrible if my friends end up in a group chat? No. But would they look at it and go, what are you doing? Yeah, probably. Right. You guys know me better than that. Okay. So I have to say, this has been a way longer conversation solo than I thought. I appreciate the time that you guys have sat here and just listened to me go off, right? Go off on the best practices of what I think social media can be. Some other things I want to say before we go, because I know it's not a topic that matters to everybody, but it is something that has come up in my network time and time again. And if you guys don't mind, I just want to address it. Some of being on social media comes with the responsibility of being inclusive, right? And I know that word is not really something a lot of people are relishing these days, but it's something I will always relish and strive for. And inclusion means being able to speak to people who may not, or communicate with people who may not communicate the way you do, right? Some cannot verbalize. Some do not have full control of their voice. Val Kilmer, for example, comes to mind as a recent person who had long used his voice and then had some medical things come up that did not allow him to verbalize in the same way or speak to the way he wanted to. Right? My mom had a tracheotomy. It was really hard for her to talk, especially at first because there was movement and muscles and it was sore and all of these things. So we moved to nonverbal communication. We were texting, we were being thoughtful in the way we spoke, and it improved our conversations. And by the time it got to the point where she could speak again without really having to be nonverbal, we had better communication styles. Right? But then I think about people that are out here supporting our rooms, and I don't want to call them out by name because it's not my business to share their business, but maybe they are hearing impaired and you screen, or sight impaired, right? Maybe they're using devices that help the communication become something that they can absorb in their own manner. And so, are you being thoughtful to that? I know as somebody who uses a lot of colors and contrast, I am not very accessible for all who have visual impairments. Using colors, those who can't differentiate colors may feel left out when I talk about all the colors on the spectrum and how much fun it is. And I'm mindful, right? I am. I have to be. But I also am building my future, and I do enjoy color. And so there is a balance for all things, guys. But can you find that middle ground for your messaging, your platform, your way of going? Yes, right? You don't have to be all things to all people, but you should be accessible in some way to everybody if you want to have the reach I want to have. I want every human to get a chance to hear it, to apply it, to use it in some way. Why? Because I was a human who needed something, anything to help me change what was happening in my life at any given time. It could have been a network of people. It could have been a tool. It could have been help with resumes, right? Like, I didn't know how to write a resume. When I started working, I'd walk in and go, "Are you hiring?" And they say, "Yes." "Can you start tomorrow?" And I'd say, "Yes." And they would say, "Here's your shirt. Be here at 8." And then they'd have most of the stuff filled out for me by the time they just spun it around to me and said, "Here, sign here and date here, and good job. Go get to work. Take out the trash." It's different these days, right? We have 90 million rounds of interviews, background screens, which I was part of that process. I did my best to expedite my part in the process, but I know how long it takes to get to that moment of saying, yes, we'll hire them as long as they pass this. Right? And so I was accountable for their future. I always felt very driven on a Friday morning to touch everything I could as quickly as possible, because if I hurry, people can start Monday. Accountability to myself. Did I need to move that quickly? No, I had 48 hours. But did people who were get ordered on Friday still get done on Friday? And some, yeah. Why? Because there was a human commitment behind what I was doing. I wanted to help people go to work, and I wanted to keep them safe at work by making sure they're not gonna have the worst things around them when they shouldn't. And I'm not judging the humans with behaviors, guys. I need you to understand. But my job was to make sure that fraud and theft didn't live at your bank, right? You didn't want the teller stealing your stuff. You don't want your financial advisor to have been convicted of fraud a bunch of times. You want them to pass a background check. That's smart, right? It's a best practice to make sure you're screening people before you hand them everything. It's a best practice to make sure that you have communication and accountability before you go into business. Contracts matter, right? Think about your future and what you want. If you're an employer, think about your social media plan. What is it? How do you tell somebody if they've started to walk a line you're not approving of? Do you have it written somewhere that they're not allowed? Are you an at-will employer? Do you want to just fire them, or do you want to warn them that maybe it's, moving in a direction? Do you have permission to post a thing? Simple stuff, guys. Simple but hard. Simple but hard. So I'm going to say this. I always forget. But here I am, and look, oh, I'm so cute with my little setup here. Hold on, let me get my face out of here. I don't want it there. All right, so if you need help, I have this going right now. You get 1 hour with me. We figure out what you want to do, right? The who, what, where, when, whys. You get the profile review and optimization. You get a branding kit. We create colors, maybe some hashtags, maybe some verbiage you use, maybe a few Canva slides. It will depend on the client, right? It depends on what their need. It depends on how far you're into your media. It might be something different. But that's why the 1 hour coaching and planning comes in, because I can't help you unless I know where you want to go. So hour with me, usually $250. A profile review, $250. Optimization, sometimes I throw it in, sometimes it's separate. The branding kit, man, that goes up to $500 starting with some. If you want all of it, it's $250 right now. I will get you worked in. I have time this weekend to get you started. So this is one of those act fast, act now kind of deals, because we can really get it in. It's the second quarter, guys. 2025, 25% of the way gone. Just boom, already. Life looks like it's going to get a little chaotic around these parts, and I don't care which part you're in. Life is just a little weird right now for all. If you're unsure about where you're going, get clear. You don't need me to do it necessarily, but if you need me, hire me. Let's do it, right? Let's do it soon, because time is one of those things you can't get back. And the longer you wait to do it, the longer you wait to start the progress portion of the show. We are going to talk tomorrow about the what now, right? Like Felipe and I have lived through those times where we've been laid off, we've been let go, we've had the economy a few times over. Felipe, I mean, not only HR, but has been in the banking industry. We've seen some things from compliance and industries, and our industries worked with other industries, right? So we haven't just been in our little circle, but we have overlapped in many ways throughout many industries, many different leadership opportunities to speak to and engage with, to train with. And we're going to bring that information and that knowledge base to you, like for you to dive into now. Are you prepared for what's coming? Whatever that is. It could be positive, it could be negative. I'm no crystal ball here. I have a pretty good gut feeling based on things I've seen in my life, based on patterns I've watched in the economy, based on historical data. Love data-driven information I've assessed. And I have a feeling it's going to get a little crunchy around these parts first, right? Everybody's saying it. But how are you going to weather that storm? Because I will say, when COVID hit, many businesses closed, right? Many businesses stopped having progress. They weren't able to pay the bills. And I was able to pause, assess, reflect, and say, wait, I know we're not hiring for all the people we had been tomorrow. Or sorry, I was reading at the same time. We had been previously, some of our clients are paused right now. But who isn't? Let me call them and see if I can expedite what their results look like and still give them that same quality that they need to make sure they're doing the job right. And so by just assessing what was going on in the world, shifting the way I was looking at who the client was that I needed at that time, I was able to then adjust, and we broke records. We grew through COVID, which many didn't, right? And so sometimes you just need to assess what's happening around you so you can prepare. It's that military mindset, right? What's going to go in the bag before we drop you off, before the chaos hits, before you need to go to war, you need to know how to act in war. Before you need an emergency preparedness kit, you got to, like, before you need it, you got to build it. You should have it ready. So that's what this is. Also, I just got to give a shout out to Jackie. I know she's got some big things brewing. I know because I'm part of one of those things. That's the Emotional Women. If you're not following Jackie Hallberg, please go do so. She's one of the cool people that I'm doing things with. And we're going to keep getting stuff going. But she's got some other stuff coming, and I'm not going to tell because it's not mine to tell. But I'm going to tell you, go follow her. If you're not following, I think it's crazy. Somebody tag Jackie and Felipe so they know, if they're not friends with us or haven't been here before, who I'm talking about. All right, guys. Beyond that, we've talked about the package, right? We've talked about the service offers. We've talked about the books. Have you read them? I still want to know. I did a few shows on the books. I read my chapter, my part of each of the collaboration books I was in, and I put it on YouTube. You can go find me on YouTube at documentandact.com and listen to my story. You can learn more about me. You can check out previous shows I've done. But you can also find the Careers, Chaos, and Coaching episodes down there. I have a playlist for them, which is really nice. So if you want to see what Felipe and I do, you can. I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. There's some banter there. I jokingly say this because it's more of a sibling relationship he and I have, but it also reminds me a lot of Lucy and Ricky in a way, because I get him fired up in the same way. And I'm kind of funny, and I giggle when he's angry. And then I'm like, ooh, when I get my foot in my mouth. So come check it out. It's the chaos portion of the show. We pick on each other, but somehow his wife and mother vote my side often. And I love that. I love that, Felipe. Thank you so much for sharing the Big Bird picture in the comments. Guys, what's your who, what, where, when, why, and how? Why are you here? What are we doing? Why do you keep coming back to the show with my crazy self? I do appreciate it. I really, really do. I hope, you got something out of this. I hope you're going to think about your best practices. I hope you're going to think about asking for permission, even from the kids, before you post them on social media. Because once it's out there, it's there forever. And I've seen people try to remove their data from the internet, and it's not so easy. It really isn't. So I want you to think through those things for me. I want you to go have an amazing day. Go show up for the Saturday chat, right? Go find Felipe. He's going to share it. I know he is. You're going to find the show he has on his profile too. I'm sure it's there because he tagged me in it. Also, I will say AI is something that I know Felipe is super interested in covering again. And so we'll be bringing some more of that back. I do want to be mindful, guys. We have to do what's best for us the way we love doing it, right? And not everything's going to work for you all the time, but ring the bell. Ring the bell so that way you know what the topics are, and when it aligns, jump on. If you were watching today, I appreciate you. I will say this. I am really excited to have some time before I have to go off to my next adventure. That said, I will be in the DMs. If you want to schedule some time, now's the time to do it. You can go to documentandact.com and check me out there. But you can just message me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I just want you to coach me. Let's get this profile thing figured out. 250, let's go. I'll send you my link, right? If you don't want to do that, that's cool too. It really is. No harm done. But I want you to think about what you're letting go to the world, on whose behalf, what that looks like, what kind of ripple are you making for your children. Your post, that social post about that belief that you have, what happens in the future if that topic comes up in your own child's life and they're looking at your historical commentary and using it to assess where they are once you're gone. It's a dark image. I went off into the darkness for that purpose because I want you to think about it. But guys, we're going to liven it up a little bit. I am going to close the show with the song, right? The song we opened with. I love that I compress it. I know Aaron's like, I'll do an exit. Maybe we'll change the visuals, but I love this stinking song. So I hope you dance the day away with me. Go be great. I will talk to you next week. I'm hoping to have a special guest, but I will see you guys soon, okay? So here we go.
Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Pour another cup of cheer. Every thought